This meeting is being recorded.
All right, we're on air.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Ian and Chris's podcast. Name is still being worked out. I wanted to do C&T podcast, but Ian kind of vetoed that. But anyways, uh, so we're starting a podcast, weekly episodes coming to you every Sunday on our YouTube channel. Um, I am Chris Carr, and this is my colleague slash friend slash acquaintance,
I'm Ian Talty.
Ian.
Yep.
There you go. And essentially, this is a podcast where we can just talk about whatever we want to, you know. Um, it's gonna be a lot of different discussions on things we are reading, listening to, doing in the world, and really anything we want to talk about. Some updates on particular people in our lives, updates on our lives. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. There's gonna be a lot of laughs, lots of happy Ian moments, and yeah, I'm excited to get going. Do you have anything you want to add, Ian?
No, I think you covered it all. I think that's a good intro for the podcast. Good way to start the first show.
Yeah, perfect. So I can just go a little bit into more about who I am, and then Ian, you can go more into who you are. My name's Chris, like I said, and I go to the University of Richmond. I'm a sophomore, and a couple things I do. I'm a biochem major. I'm also on the rugby team. Uh, I enjoy, like being cool and stuff. I'm a pretty cool guy, I would say, overall. Um, and me and Ian go way back since, I don't know. How long have we been friends, Ian?
I mean, probably since we were on what team was it? The Ironbirds in like third grade.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We baseball together in third grade. Uh, football, yeah, football in third grade too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
right.
started my football career in third grade with Ian. Mr. Talty was the coach, greatest coach of all time.
Pretty sure we didn't win any games that season.
We didn't win any games, but we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I remember that season. Um, yeah, and we've been friends ever since, and we hang out all the time because we're besties. And yeah, anything you want to add in?
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered our friendship pretty well. I think that's like a pretty expansive, nothing to add there. I'll just share a little bit about who I am. My name's Ian Talty. I'm a sophomore as well. I go to Notre Dame. I study chemistry and math. Let's see, what do I do on campus? I'm a tour guide and
Mm,
pretty involved in my dorm. We have like a pretty interesting dorm system here. Maybe we'll talk about that at some point in the future.
yeah,
Um,
we definitely.
and then I'm also a member of the curling club. So yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
mm. That's all. Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk about that later. Um, there's a lot of aspects that the general public does not know about curling that you could probably add to. It's a really expansive, fun sport that really everyone can play. So maybe we can add out to at some point. I also can talk about rugby, being that a lot of our audience is probably unfamiliar with it. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that sums up a lot of what we are. I mean, there's a lot more things we could talk about, but we'll get to that in future episodes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So moving on, post our intro. One of the core things we're gonna do weekly is our weekly friends update. Uh, so one being, big announcement. Mora has a boyfriend. Big news. Yeah, clap it up. Who would have thought, going back to the issues with Nate, issues with Ian, the issues with me, there's a lot of issues. Julie never had issues, but anyways, we're all proud of her. I know I doubt her. I don't know about you, Ian. Did you doubt her?
Um, I think I knew she was on the right path. I didn't think she'd get there so quick,
Mm,
but yeah, I'm
mm.
happy for her. I'm happy for her.
No, completely agree. I mean, I think we saw this coming eventually, but the timeline was definitely more expansive in my head, at least. Um, but yeah, good for her. She's doing really well. Just talked to her. I talked to her today. She's doing well. She's a new, more pure and refined self, you know. So yeah, overall, she's doing really well. Additionally, what else do we have to update? We have some breaking news, some very breaking news. As of last night at around 1 a.m., Lorelai's apartment was broken into, and some guy in underwear, well, I don't know, trying to rob her. I don't know. Anyway, she locked herself in a room, and the police came. Yeah, it was a big ordeal. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's still a lot of misinformation about that, but to my understanding, you know, lots of police were involved, lots of guns. Everyone was safe though. Not sure if there's going to be charges pressed, but we can update you next week on that for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Should be a good one to follow.
Yeah, definitely. Um,
I think that
also we wh-
you go ahead.
what?
I was
Oh,
gonna say I think that leads pretty well into some of the lore we might be able to share about our good friend Julian.
oh yeah, no, that's exactly where I was headed. But way to think, Ian. Do you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give like a brief intro. So Julian is a good friend of ours.
Hmm.
He was also on that winless football team in third grade.
He
Um,
was.
yeah, but he's a good guy. I mean, we know he's a good guy. I don't know that necessarily everybody in his life knows that right now, but it's coming
Yeah,
at some point in
definitely.
the future. Yeah, but he's at school at Washington and Lee, big frat guy, and
Hmm.
yeah, he definitely lives an interesting life, one that's definitely foreign to me. So it's
Mm.
always not necessarily nice, but definitely interesting to hear about what's going on in his life. So maybe we'll share some of that lore with you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it would be great to have him on the podcast at some point, having that, like one of the main goals of the podcast is having a diverse
Yeah,
group of people and perspectives, and being that like frat beard guy, like douchebag kind of personality, could really be beneficial for some of our viewers, some of our viewership, kind of to see what you don't want to become. Maybe there's some good things, also some bad things. Overall, we love Julian. But yeah, we pray for him. Yeah. He's currently on his way to Maine. I don't know why he's going to Maine. I think it's just a change of scenery, but I'm glad he's getting out and about. Um, hope he survives. Sending my well wishes to him. Yeah, but only time will tell what happens. And then, oh, I have an additional update. This wasn't something you talked about, Ian, but one of the important things that's going on is Nate. I want to give a big shout out to Nate. Big things are happening. Can't disclose anything yet. Gonna keep it on the DL. Keep it on the DL. Big things are happening for him, and it's a very exciting time for sure.
that's awesome to hear. I mean, I was like kind of like on the tip of the iceberg, but I haven't
Mm.
really got the full picture yet. But I'm excited when the time comes for me to see the rest. I'm
Yeah, nothing,
excited.
nothing. Yeah, nothing's official yet. Don't want to spread any rumors or anything, but congratulations to Nate. He's doing really well.
It's big.
Um, yeah, he's also hitting the gym.
Yeah.
Hit what he hit? What he hit, Ian?
I think he said 3 sets, 135 for 5 reps on the bench press, which is huge. It's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
very solid. Very,
Yeah.
very great, honestly. So yeah, good for him. Seems like he's improving in a lot of ways, and I'm proud of my man Nate.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then I guess moving on, do you want to give an update on us? Maybe the people want to hear what we're up to.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I can go first, just kind of like a brief update about what's been going on in my life. So, let's see. This week, it wasn't too busy. It was pretty good. The last couple weeks, so a couple weeks ago, I actually went to Phoenix for a curling tournament, um,
Mm,
it was a good experience. We lost our matches, but you got to learn from those defeats. But these last couple weeks, I've just been like looking to get back on track, kind of catch up on sleep, get my sleep schedule looking right. So this week it was great. Something I've been working on a lot, getting up earlier in the morning. Chris knows about that. We exchange some texts in the morning, get each other
yeah,
going.
Definitely something we
Um,
should talk about at some point, those and like I would, it's your sleep schedule and your habits. So that's something we should definitely go over at some point. But
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, other than that, pretty basic week. Last night, my dorm, we had one of our special events that we do is the whole dorm goes bowling once a year, and we're all supposed to grow out mustaches. I was not successful in growing out mine, but my bowling was pretty solid. It was looking pretty good. So
Mm,
yeah,
it's very exciting. I didn't know about that. Well, what'd you bully in? Do you remember what you got?
124.
Oh wow, wow. It's
Yeah,
pretty solid.
yeah, not too
Pretty
bad.
solid numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can just move into myself. I've been pretty busy semester. Um, a lot of things in development as of right now. But I'll share a couple of things. One being, we had two rugby tournaments the past 2 weekends. We're undefeated as of right now, 9-0. We beat three nationally ranked teams last year that were ranked last year and the yesterday in our tournament. So that was very exciting. One on absolute nail biter at the end to close out the tournament. It was electric. Yeah, it was a good time with the boys. Um, Also got some, just been pretty busy. I've been playing intramural basketball. I think as of right now we're like maybe like 4-1. Took a loss to the club basketball uh team early in the semester, but we were able to beat a couple frats, get back on top. We have our first playoff game this Thursday. We'll see if I'll be able to attend. I've been dealing with some nagging hamstring injuries, which have been inhibiting my play with basketball, but especially rugby. I was questionable all last week to play this tournament. Was able to play, had a good time. Uh, felt a little shaky, but getting back there, doing some rehabbing back up. Getting my hammy strong again. Hit a nice squat day today. Feeling better and better each day. So yeah, excited for that. What else is going on? Now I've been pretty busy doing every Friday. I've been volunteering at a free clinic. Been busy with that. What else? Um, and I joined the German club, so that's exciting. So we'll see what that entails. Um, yeah, I mean, right now we're in the middle of midterms, so a lot of I don't know about you, Ian, but I've had a lot of exams coming up.
yeah,
But yeah, trying to have that balance of academics and sports and also working out, seeing friends, you know, trying to balance that. I feel like I've been pretty successful, but yeah, it's definitely a challenge. But I mean, I would say overall, semester's off to a great start. Probably one of the best ones yet, in my opinion. Uh, Overall, pretty happy, very content with myself. But there's always more to do. So yeah, I'm excited for the future, and I'm sure I'll have a lot more updates. This will be a busy week. Have a lot more updates next weekend for next episode for you guys.
that's great. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I forgot to mention was this week I listened to a really great podcast, actually recommended to me by Chris, the Huberman Lab, hosted by Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist, professor, PhD. He had a guest, Josh Waitzkin, who former world champion chess, youth world champion, then champion in the martial arts and fighting discipline. Really just like an awesome guy who's lived an amazing life. And they had a really great conversation that I think Chris and I both really took a lot away from.
Yeah, no, yeah. I listened to this podcast a couple weeks ago. Um, it's a long podcast, around 3 hours. We can in the YouTube description link, we'll drop the link to it for sure. Um, but yeah, awesome podcast. I love a lot of the podcasts from the Huberman Lab, being that a lot of them are, all of it's science based, all based on research. Usually it's more on like regards like foods and physical activity and whatnot, like biomedical research. But this is kind of a different episode, being that it's more of how you think. And I think Josh Waitzkin does a really, really, really cool way on explaining how you think, how you learn, and how you can develop as a human being in a lot of ways. And just based on his resume alone, it's very impressive, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, Chris, was there anything like in particular that you would say jumped out to you? Like if there was like an idea or two that you would say really stuck out?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Ian. Um, I think one of the most interesting things, one of the things I want to do, I know I want, is to read his book, The Art of Learning.
Yeah.
Haven't got around to it, but I'll definitely read that at some point. But a lot of the podcasts he talks about some of the principles he has in this book he wrote. Being that he was a world class chess player, and then he completely quits chess, moves into martial arts, and he becomes a world champion in martial arts. Like two completely different aspects from something so mental being and switching to something so physical. And then, but his ability to intertwine them. For in his mind, they're like exactly the same thing, which is really interesting in my opinion. He explains how being able to read people is like similar to moving chess pieces, and training is similar. The training is similar in a lot of ways between spending hours doing chess and spending time working out and getting in shape and preparing to fight. And I mean, and from just from that alone, I had a lot of key takeaways from his stuff. But I don't know, is there anything in particular, Ian, you thought was like very interesting?
That was actually exactly where I was going to go. Yeah, this idea that he brings up throughout the podcast of interconnectedness, um,
Mm,
how the things that we learn in one discipline, we can translate those to another discipline. I think that was something that really struck me because I mean I don't know about you, but I feel like all the time, like I'll just like pause for a second and think about things, and I'll be like, it's absurd what I'm doing right now. You know what I mean? Like whether it's like I'm
yeah.
doing homework or I'm working out or something like that, right? Like a lot of the stuff we do just has like this existential absurdity to it. Like
Mhm.
if you take too long, like and you just think about it, it doesn't really necessarily make that much sense. Like, why am I doing it? And I think he provides like a really great answer to that question. Like everything that we do can be translated into the other things that we do. And so like when you assess what like the most important things in your life are, the values and beliefs you're trying to develop, whatever that looks like, whether you're trying to, raise a family, whether you're trying to just be a good person in general, help save the world, whatever that is, like all the small things that you do, all the things that might seem, kind of absurd or bizarre or unnecessary, you can take the things that you learn when you're doing those things and apply them on a larger scale. And I think that's something that really spoke to me. And I think it's also something that, makes me think a lot about like education and teaching kids and how, we can try to tap into that interconnectedness when we're teaching them about things, try to make education a little bit more expansive, overarching. Yeah, that was probably the biggest thing that I took away.
Yeah, I completely agree. Um, Everything in his life that he talks about, he goes 100% in, and the way he trains is very intensive, but also like I thought one of the most interesting things is that I remember him talking about, and he was talking about how he spent, years trying to perfect on how much he should practice chess each day. And he went from everything from like 30 minutes to like literally, I don't know, like 12 hours. And like I think overall, the overall theme was less is more. And if you're able to give that like intensive approach in less time, you'll make so much more progress than giving a bunch of smaller efforts like over a longer period of the day. That's definitely something I'm trying to implement in my life in a lot of ways, being that like one, and I think that applies to a lot of things, whether you're working out, giving an intense effort on, you know, like a couple, like just only two sets versus doing like six sets of something. But I also think it applies to academic, like schoolwork and academically, being that, you can spend a lot of time in the library if you're not focused, you go on your phone, um, not really giving the best effort, nothing will click. But if you can really sit down and lock in, a lot of them are clicks. And I think this also applies to even relationships too, it's different, when you're able to give someone your full attention, it's a lot more. rewarding and, beneficial on both parties for both parties if you're, you know, fully invested in a friendship versus, just kind of like being half there. So, I think one of his major gift takeaways was, whatever you're doing, be like fully present, give a good effort the whole time. And I think that like it applies to whatever you do, whatever that may be.
Yeah, I really love the points you're bringing up. I'm just gonna keep kind of riffing on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, one of the smaller things that I take from that is like that also just allows you to do more. Like you
Mm,
don't have to feel like, okay, I got to spend my entire Sunday doing schoolwork, right? Like if you're able to
yeah.
just kind of break that down to like, okay, I need to take 2 to 3 hours, then it's like you have the rest of the day to really pursue and explore other things. And then one of the other things that I liked was a lot of the times when he was talking about kind of that like, I think his specific time was like 4 hours. I think he said was like the perfect time for him, like the whole day. Um,
Mm,
and he said like, yeah, it's 4 hours that I'm really like intensely training. But the rest of the day, I'm doing things that are getting me ready for that, like that are like feeding my mind and my body such that when I hit those 4 hours,
mm,
that's peak performance. And that really
mm,
speaks to me like it's not just like okay you decide to lock in for this short amount of time and then you can just go do whatever the hell you want for the rest of the time. Like you got to be committed like every second, even if you're not specifically doing it, like doing things that feed you in other ways. Whether that's working out, whether that's reading, whether that's just relaxing, like building that time, structuring it such that like you're really spending the rest of your day to get yourself the most ready that you can possibly be for that period of time that you've deemed, is going to work the best for you to really be at your peak productivity is something that
mm.
I thought was great, especially because like I feel just like for me in my life recently, like the last few months, I've really been trying to like lock in on the mornings and the nights. And I think that's like been huge just in general, making my days feel better and more productive. Like just like short 30 minutes to an hour, morning and night, like trying to refine those as much as I can.
But yeah, I completely agree, and I see that in your routine. I feel like that's beneficial. That's something I've been more recently working on. But I feel like yeah, setting yourself up for those peak hours is very important. And I mean, I also there's a lot of other things like moving on. There's also a lot of other additional things that I took away from it. I think one being is like it's good to live in a zone of like having daily discomfort. Like doing things you don't want to do is really beneficial mentally, being that, if you do one thing, you don't enjoy, I don't know, whatever that may be, like you really don't like, it makes doing other things you slightly dislike so much easier. Um, like for me, it's like, some days I really don't want to, get up and work out early or do homework or whatever maybe, or go to like a social event. But, you just get up and you do it, even though if you don't want to be there and you feel uncomfortable and you just rather be doing something else. Just having that sense of like I can do this, I can push through is also like a pretty important aspect I've been trying to implement in my life at least.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, like I think the morning is such a great example. Sometimes, like some
Mm,
mornings, I'll wake up and I'll just like look at myself in the mirror, like all I want to do is go back to bed, right? And like the one thing I think to myself is like, this is the hardest thing I'll do all day. Like if I can do this right
yeah.
now and I can stay up, like the rest of the
Hmm.
day is just gonna be so easy. Like that's the thing. Like if you can overcome those barriers like early on and you can get through that discomfort, then
Yeah.
yeah, the rest of the day is just so much easier. Yeah. So that's a great point.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Um, yeah, like and waking up early is definitely one of the best ways you can do that. Like just what one best way is to be uncomfortable and like do something you don't want to do that just sets you up for success the rest of the day. And that's something I've definitely been trying to implement more. No, not as successful as you, Ian, but I'm trying my best.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I struggle all the time too. Like
yeah,
it's not a linear process.
yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, and adding on to that, one of the other important things he talks about is like, you know, like embracing mistakes and having like a growth mindset, which is like I think a pretty important thing. And like a lot of what he talks about is failing. Like, and I think in a lot of people's minds, especially today, so I'm definitely a product of this, is like, thinking you do something, you instantly see results, instantly succeed, and you like, if you're not instantly making progress, you think you're failing. Um, but like having that mindset of like, maybe I'm not seeing the outcomes right now, you know, you're still gonna be able to push forward, and like overall in the long term, you'll see results for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a point that he kind of makes, that Josh Waitzkin kind of makes, that almost kind of ties into that, um, is he talks about prodigies, and he doesn't identify himself as a prodigy because
Yeah, yes,
in his mind, a prodigy is somebody who believes that they just have like this inherent gift, that they're better than other
yeah,
people, right? That their success is just this ingrained thing. And at least for him, and I think it's just like a good thing for people to have in general, is that he succeeds and he ties that directly to the work that he's put in, that hard work.
mm,
And like that is the growth mindset, right? Like if you can work hard, you can become better, right? If you can put the
yeah,
time and the effort in, you can grow in any area of your life. Like, and you should never. I think that's something that like I think I probably struggled with that when I was younger. Like I think a lot of people have like a misconstrued like view of what like intelligence is, or
mm,
what gifts or talents are. Like if you can kind of leave that behind and just start tying like everything that you're really successful into like the hard work and the dedication you've put in, like that's just going to
mm.
allow you to grow so much more. So that was something that I really loved.
Yeah, and I agree. I think adding on to that, one of the other like impressive things he does is he's not great at everything, but he picks a few select things, and he's just really damn good at those. Like whether it be chess or Muay Thai, or I think recently he's been doing more like, was it surfing, or what was it? You remember what it's
Foiling,
called?
foiling.
Foiling. Yeah, yeah. And he foils in Costa Rica, which I thought was really cool. Or just he also is, I think, some sort of coach or like mental coach for the Celtics.
Yeah.
He spends a lot of time working and developing their mentalities to become better performers. Yeah, and I think it's interesting how he's able to. He's pretty damn successful with that. Being that the Celtics just won the championship, but being able to turn on someone's like mental capabilities. I don't know how to describe that, but just like being able to flip that switch in other people too. Not only in himself, but also other people is really impressive.
Yeah. Um, I think that's a great point. I think it almost makes me think, when you say like he's so great at like these few things, he doesn't really focus on being just like kind of average at a lot of things. Almost makes
Yeah.
me think of our friend Nate, who is
Mm,
just like Nate is like very good at being like a passable level at like everything. Like
mm,
Nate's not bad at anything, but he's like he like whatever sport you're playing, like for whatever reason, he's just like at least average to good.
yeah. No, I definitely can see that with Nate. I feel like he's a great guy, but he's he's decently good at everything, and I feel like like being a jack of all trades is hard, because then you can't really master anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a fine balance